So good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the HIA-LI Business Steps Up. And this is a bi-monthly program where we really interview business leaders and talk about not only the challenges that are going on Long Island, but some of the very active solutions that they're coming up with. And this month, no surprise, before I introduce our guests, I want to congratulate everybody again. We know it's been a very rough 2 years. Yeah. And, we were just talking before about, owning a business and running a business, certainly not for the faint of heart. And we've seen through this pandemic that people have worked harder than they've ever worked before, all of us and all of you. And we want to just communicate that the HIA-LI continues to be with you through this and give you any resource that you need really to help your company get back and help your company thrive. And it is one of the things that caused us to create this Business Steps Up series. We began to see some of the magnificent things all of you were doing in terms of repurposing your plant for PPE and just doing some magnificent things for the business community. So this afternoon, we have Mr. Ron Loveland. He is the president of Summit Security and Efficiency Solutions. And Kevin, I know I'm going to mess it up, Kevin. Davici, you tell me.
You got it. That's perfectly fine. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
At International Corporation. And not only are they both successful leaders on Long Island, but we are very honored to have them as HIA-LI Manufacturing and International Trade Committee co-chairs. So that is a very robust committee. We have a lot of committees, but particularly this one is very robust, and they really offer a lot for the manufacturers and distributors all over Long Island. So why don't we start there? I'm going to ask you both to introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about how you're involved in manufacturing and what your backgrounds are. Ron, you want to go first?
Sure. So my name's Ron Loveland, president of Summit Safety and Efficiency Solutions. Really, manufacturing is in my blood. After my Army days, I spent a dozen years at Sikorsky Aircraft. So that's the helicopter guys across the Sound over in Connecticut. And, a lot of the manufacturers here in the aerospace business are still supporting Sikorsky, as well as Boeing and Lockheed and the other companies as well. So, it's always been something that's dear to my heart. Love to work with manufacturers and help them thrive. And, the big challenges they're having right now are labor, supply chain, and inflation. So we'll talk a little bit more about that and how we're trying to use the HIA trade show this year to help them out with those issues.
Great, thanks. How about you, Kevin?
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. Such an honor. My name is Kevin Deveci, and I'm the managing director. So in essence, we are a company for global enterprise software publishing. So we always work with manufacturing companies. It's actually our involvement with manufacturing. We help companies automate and digitize business processes and manufacturing processes. For me, I also have a manufacturing background. I also work in various manufacturing industries, pulp, paper, packaging, textile, natural stone are some of them. So I have also lived through many, I've seen and witnessed many different challenges for the manufacturing. And happy to be here. And let's talk about how we can, address the challenges of manufacturers in the region.
Yeah, great. And thank you. So, it's funny, we've talked about this offline before. I don't know about the both of you, but when I grew up, everybody worked for Grumman, right? Mm-hmm. And just everybody on the block worked for Grumman. And when some of that at least went away, the perception was that manufacturing is dead. And that's one of the places I think we need to start in this conversation is to really reassure people manufacturing is not dead. It is alive and well, with over 3,000 manufacturers, and manufacturing is still the third largest in payroll on Long Island, right? So talk a little bit about that, what you're both seeing in the manufacturing world and why you feel it's not dead, why it's not dead.
Yeah, so that's a really good comment. You talk to the average person on the street in Long Island, they're saying, yeah, manufacturing's gone. There's no manufacturing here. Grumman left years ago. Can't be anything farther from the truth. Anybody who takes a drive through the industrial park here in Hauppauge, we'll see, you know, signs popping up all over the place with biopharma, nutraceutical, medical device, and there's still a fair amount of aerospace business here as well. So I think one of the issues that manufacturing has on Long Island, especially with parents, teachers, and students, is we have a public relations problem. You know, people just don't know that there's great high-paying jobs here in manufacturing, exciting jobs. You know, manufacturers are making aerospace parts, you know, to go up into space or to fly jet engines. They're making COVID vaccines and test kits and you know, PPE, like you said. So a lot of great things going on here, exciting things, and I think it's we just got to get the word out, and that's one of the things that we're focused on for the manufacturing pavilion at the trade show this year, is to get more and more students introduced to that.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, what are you both seeing in terms of manufacturing? What did you see pre-COVID and what are you seeing post-COVID? Have you seen a difference?
Yes, definitely. So before COVID, it was actually a different mindset in a way that, you know, serving customers, managing the supply chain, for example, and the labor, for instance. So obviously, COVID-19 changed everything in terms of doing business, in terms of the focus, in terms of markets, and as well as addressing challenges. So we just, for example, you know, talk about top 5 challenges of manufacturers, for example, just like Ram mentioned, you know, supply chain disruption is here. It wasn't this challenging before. That's a fact. So now it's more challenging than before. So manufacturers try to address this. For example, labor shortages, another challenge. We had it before, but right now this is a different challenge in a way that, you know, we need to find and we need to keep them. So there was, for example, an article in Wall Street Journal, for example. So when you hire somebody, they ask, and they had a survey, you know, employees planning to stay up to 2 years in a company. It's a pretty short time. So we have to extend this. That's also a national problem in a way. So what we feel in Long Island region, in New York region, is also national problem in a way that we all have to address. Another one, for example, is the technology. So there is remote work. It became remote work first due to COVID. Now there is hybrid work that we have to address altogether. So it requires technologies. It requires also adapting the change. It's also a change management in a way, the way that we do business. So we are not always on site anymore as manufacturers. We don't always see customers face to face like before. So we see that manufacturers are addressing these challenges in different ways as much as they can. And just like you know, Ram mentioned earlier, some of them, they are making different settings in their manufacturing environment. Some of them, they try to find different markets, for example. So there is creativity, and that is a fact. So that is exciting, and that is also, you know, good for manufacturing in a way that, you know, manufacturers are trying to survive and adapt to change, which is good. And also, as addressed earlier, so HIA-LI trade show will be a great opportunity to, you know, address and discuss these challenges that we have during COVID, after COVID, and how we can do further nowadays, as well as, of course, we need to also discuss about other resources that's available, especially finding new markets. For example, we had a meeting last week, a couple of weeks ago, at our committee about finding new international markets. What type of tools and resources are available that we have to also, you know, learn about and use as manufacturers, for instance. So in that sense, that's exciting. Manufacturing in Long Island, it is live. I 100% agree with Ron. It's here to stay. And in my opinion, it is the soul of our economy. And so that's critical. That's critical. So there is no such thing in my view that, you know, manufacturing is gone. That's here to stay. That is important. That's dear to our heart. We have to keep it. We have to further it in global marketplace, and we have to work harder all together. In that sense, HIA-LI is a great community to you know, use the resources, learn about resources, and utilizing them.
Yeah, and listen, thank you both for leading it. I mean, you know, it's interesting. So several things you said. One is it's definitely an employees market, right? So when we look at filling a talent pool, just the dynamic is so different than it's ever been before. Number one. Number two is, you know, when we go home, I have a 15-year-old son, and when I talk to him about the work we do and the careers that are out there, my dialogue has changed based on what the both of you seriously have educated me in and us in, and our manufacturers are telling me, which is, you know, it is absolutely not, as Ron said before, it is not, the perception is off. So what happens is a lot of people think it's a dirty machinist type of business. And we forget two things. Number one, it's not necessarily a dirty machinist type of business. And number two, that business needs accountants, and that business needs other people and other skill sets to be able to run manufacturing companies. So, you know, we know that if you took those 5 million, right, Americans that were displaced several years ago in manufacturing and put them back into manufacturing, they would not have the skill set that they need today, because we're talking about very advanced manufacturing. So the trade show, let's get to the trade show just for a second. So, you know, it was really your brainchild, quite frankly, not the show itself, but coming to us and saying, how do we highlight manufacturers? And it came at a great time because, as you know, we did a sustainability study in this Long Island Innovation Park, and it told us that 58% of the companies, industries, were from tradable sectors. And that means, as you know, companies that are bringing monies in from outside of Long Island into Long Island for our economy. So it just made perfect sense. So talk to us about the excitement of this manufacturing pavilion. I know we have a bunch of people, the types of companies that are involved. We have a bunch of people involved. We can't thank you enough. We're very excited about it. So talk to us about that. What are you excited for that we will see that day, do you think?
Well, I think any successful organization is always tuned into their marketplace, right? And you know, if you're taking care of the needs of your consumer out there, or your potential members or constituents, you're going to be successful. So, you know, here we are in this the great what do they call it? The great reorganization, or the
resignation. Yes,
the
resignation.
great resignation, right? You know, what do we do to help these people? Because every manufacturer I talk to says, I can't find people.
Right.
Man, if I could find 6 machinists, I would hire them on the spot. If I could find, you know, we've got companies like Waterlily's Food over in Bayshore are looking to hire 400 people. Chembio wants to hire 100 people. You know, they're creating, you know, talk about COVID a little bit. They're creating a PCR test kit, and right now it takes 2 or 3 days to get the results. They created a test kit that can get the results in 15 minutes. So, I mean, once they get the FDA approval, they're going to just rock it, and they're going to need help right away. But all these companies are just starving for people. So, you know, you think about, okay, where are they going to find people? I had a conversation with Ron Tabitas, who's the Vice President of Supply Chain Management over at Telephonics, and he said, we don't have a labor problem because 10 years ago, we decided, hey, we got to get into the pipeline. We got to get down to the schools. We got to start developing that interest in manufacturing. And in our company, you know, we make cool electronics, NavCom systems for, you know, helicopters and aircraft. And, you know, we're exciting those future students about us and letting them know about it. Because, you know, the typical student, you know, maybe the college level kids are taken care of, and the folks at the, you know, special needs area, but the kids in between, you know, they get lost in the sauce. I know I had that same experience with our kids in Three Village when they went to Ward Melville. So, you know, this is a chance during this trade show to introduce students to high paying, exciting careers in manufacturing. So I think, you know, what we try to do is meet the need of the community, which is, hey, we need people.
Right, right. And, you know, that's the key. The key is the connection, right? I mean, that's certainly what you two do well, and certainly what our core mission is here at the HIA-LI is we have the resources, we have the kids, assuming they stay on island,
yes.
right? We have some great companies. It's the ability to be able to connect them. So
that's true.
Yeah.
So if I may also add,
Sure,
so for the trade show also, another thing is, in addition to what Ron addressed, another thing is technology. So there is no manufacturing without the right technology. And we also have the opportunity to have manufacturing technology organizations in the trade show. In addition, we'll also have the technology for business committee with us. So we are joining forces. Manufacturing and technology, they are hand to hand. We cannot think of them separately. So that trade show is also important to learn about what type of new technologies are there, what type of best practices are there, and how we can learn from them. And if we can use these ideas, we need to be creative to be competitive. So that is a great opportunity for manufacturers to see and learn about new manufacturing technologies, and also talk about other manufacturers who are actually implementing those technologies. So that's a great meeting place for all the manufacturers to see and learn about the technology, manufacturing technology, as well as digital transformation, which is another important subject that we need to address. So in that sense, I'm very excited to meet with manufacturers, and I definitely welcome them. And invite them to the trade show, definitely.
In addition to that, Kevin, is, how do you excite students to come to a show like this to check things out? Kids are excited about technology, right? They're excited about robots and cobots and automation,
drones,
and
right? Yes.
Video games, and drones, yeah, you name it. So, there's kind of a double-edged approach to that. One is, show manufacturers how they can overcome their labor shortage by automating, right? But also attract the students and parents and teachers to say, hey, there's some cool stuff going on here that we can show off to the kids and attract them to the show as well.
Yeah. And in fact, just this morning, we were talking about, I saw Rosalie Drago, who, as many of us know, and I know we do a lot of work. She's wonderful. The county commissioner of the Department of Labor, talking about busing these kids into the show, right? And because it's at community college, really encouraging those kids to come to the show. So again, it's what we said before. It's all about making the connection. That's a piece of the trade show. I mean, the other thing you will both be doing that we're very excited about is you'll be doing some educational programs for us, right, at the show. And that's the conference piece of the show. So what we found over the last 34 years with the show is that absolutely some of it is walking the show floor and seeing and touching things and seeing what's going on. But the other piece of it is educating people. So talk to us a little bit about the breakout session. What do you think we'll see when we come?
Yeah, so I'm really excited about some of the things going on where we're getting that school to manufacturers connection. Longwood High School, for instance, has a Classroom to Careers program where I think this is just a super idea that all the schools should be doing. You get the kids as freshmen, right? And you say, okay, let's think about what you're good at, what you want to do, what your career aspirations are, and then start tracking those kids to potential exposure, introduction to some of these careers. Maybe they're going to do shadowing, but Longwood has done a great job, and East West Industries, one of our constituents here, has hired high school interns who turned into full-time employees, which is, just a great process. West Islip High School has gotten together with CPI Aero, and they set up a machine shop within their organization. I don't know about the rest of you, but when I was a kid, they had wood shop, they had machine shop, auto shop. Nowadays, you can't find it anywhere. So it's great to see, where the pendulum swinging back the other way. Orlicon Metco over in Westbury, they're a international conglomerate division. They have 300 plus employees. They're going to be working with NASA BOCES to be able to develop a machining curriculum or manufacturing curriculum. So these students that come out will have the basic skills. They're going to be able to do fractions and do trigonometry and do geometry and all the things that you need to be able to, machine parts in a machining company. So some really super exciting things going on. Also, Derek Peterson at Soder Technologies gotten together with Wyandanch and is creating electrical technician training as well. So a lot of great things going on. And what we're trying to do at the show is to let other manufacturers and other schools know the great things are going on, so we can all share best practices and everybody get better here in the island.
Yeah. And again, use it as a template. I agree with you, Ron, right? So the more we can do that, because some people are doing phenomenal things. Absolutely. So broaden that for us as an audience and talk a little bit about some of the other things. What comes to my mind is Manufacturing Day, right?
Mhm.
But some of the other things that both of you are doing to help out with this industry.
Yes, definitely. So one of the things, for example, just I can share is, for example, international markets, for instance. So, so we are in global market. We compete against global players as well as national players, of course. And one of the important things that we have to consider is to find new markets internationally. So I must say, once in a quarter, we definitely address these actually the challenges that manufacturers have, especially finding different international markets in different regions. For example, previously we talked about how to do business with different countries, for example, which is critical to know about their needs and their way of doing business, for example, and understanding how they're approaching the market and how we can actually, as American manufacturers, we can reach those markets, for instance. So in that sense, we'll definitely keep addressing these international markets and international trade aspect of our committee as part of HIA-LI. Also, we always invite experts, for example, to our committee meetings, especially U.S. Commercial Services, for example, from the local branches. We also invite Empire State Development, for example, for them to promote available resources, state level as well as federal level. And then, the manufacturers can learn about and utilize. So there are resources available and they're very exciting, and we just have to be promoted and then share that information with manufacturers. So in that sense, I'm also very excited about the international trade aspect of our activities, because we always need new markets and there is always room for improvement, and that's a fact. So in that sense, that's important. Another thing is also to be competitive, we have to make sure there is a integrated management system in place. So ISO is critical. ISO 9001 is the most universal management system in the world. And we see there is more interest in the United States nowadays, which is great. We have to do more because these type of systems helps us become more competitive in the marketplace. We can regulate, we can adopt regulations easily. Customers are asking for it, so we can also satisfy this customer requirement in international markets as well. Because ISO shows that you have a management system in place, you have a discipline in place, and your activities and your operations are documented and reportable. So these are all exciting information that we keep promoting in our HIA-LI Manufacturing and International Trade Committee. So definitely it's coming. More is coming, I must say.
Yeah, I mean, listen, for those of you who are watching, I have to tell you, this committee is just chock full of information, And one of the things that we see frequently in Long Island is that, again, it's all about connection, right? There are some really, really good services out there that people aren't aware of. Not anybody's fault. It's just we run at 150 miles an hour. So this committee really does a superior job at making that connection. So before I forget, Kevin, when you were talking, it dawned on me. I mean, what change have you seen in international trade, both from the pandemic, but equally in terms of what's going on in the world? It's such a crazy world right now, right? I mean, has that impacted international trade at all? And if so, how?
Yes, definitely. So based on my observation and what we learn from manufacturers, so what we have challenges at home, also similar challenges also internationally. So there is still a disruption in terms of supply chain. There is still labor shortage going on. That is also a fact, and there is also disruption in labor because of COVID. People get sick, they take leave.
Right.
That is actually very overwhelming for many many people, regardless of where you are, and that's a fact. So that is also a challenge. Cybersecurity is also a challenge internationally. That's also what we see because hacking going on here and there, not only in our nation, also internationally we see that's also a challenge. So what I see is there are similar challenges internationally. There may be some national challenges or local challenges, but in general, the major top 5 challenges are the same. So they are also struggling in a way to address these challenges. So in the United States and having educated the labor force, having the technology, we have the upper hand, but we need to make sure we are implementing it in a way that we are actually competitive in the international marketplace. So that is critical. And we have to also make sure we need to use the resources available, you know, and on the federal level and state level. And, you know, we always invite officials, you know, Empire State Development or US Commercial Services. They want to help and they are ready for it and they are excited and they are motivated. So we need to work with them. That is critical. So that we can be more competitive in international markets as well, moving forward. That's what I have been seeing so far.
Yeah, and you know, it's so funny you said that because just this morning, Empire State Development and Carol Longworth, who happens to be a very good friend of ours, reached out and said, you know, the Long Island Regional Economic Development Council starts their rounds and they give out an exorbitant amount of money every year in grants on May 1st. And she said, you know, how can we get that word better out to your members? Because what they're finding is, as we said before, and seems to be a theme, right, is making a connection, helping people understand the resources that they have. So we will do that. We're committed to do that. Ron, talk to us a little bit about, in general, Manufacturing Day, the benefit to it. We've been involved in it for years, what you're seeing with kids, how excited they're getting, and so on.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the last, 2020, 2021, we've had to do it virtually with some success, but there's nothing like being there in person on the shop floor, the factory floor. So this year, actually, one of the pieces that we're asking the manufacturers to do at the trade show is to, you know, get people's contact information, invite them to the manufacturer's facility in October during that. We're going to call it Manufacturing Month because it's hard to do everything in a day. And so this is where the kids really get excited, right? They see the machines in process, they see the finished products, you know, for some of the companies that are making products. They see the automation, they see the robotics, they see the cobots going out there. So, you know, so that's going to be the focus, hopefully pandemic allowing, you know, in October, getting back to in person. So what we're looking at is inviting all manufacturers, which is, that's what Manufacturing Day is all about. Open their doors, inviting the public, you know, parents, teachers, students, and show them the great things that they're doing. So that's what's coming up in October.
Yeah, that'll be exciting. I can't wait to be back in person. I agree with you.
Absolutely.
That is true.
So speaking of that, I just wanted to read to everyone who's online some of the types of companies that'll be involved in the show as a result of Ron and Kevin's work. So Contract Pharmacal has probably now about 1,400 employees, and they have 12 locations right here in this Long Island Innovation Park. I took a second tour the other day, and I have to tell you, as Mark Wolf was walking us around and he said, you know, we make 6 billion pills a day. I thought, oh my heavens, right?
Wow.
Talk about a wow, right?
Yeah.
Talk about a wow. And these are things from aspirins to hangover medication to Dramamine to, I mean, really things we buy on an everyday basis that might not, the label might not say CPC.
Right.
Certainly manufacture them. So that's one of them. Some of these companies will be new to me, but we're excited about them. So I don't know how to pronounce this. So Ron, you're going to have to help me. Orlikon or
yeah, Orlikon Metco. That's the company I mentioned that's coordinating with Nassau BOCES to create a manufacturing machining curriculum so that they, you know, they get all the basic skills. They're part of a Swiss international conglomerate. The Westbury division, like I said before, is like 300 employees. They've been one of our customers for years. We've helped them with project management training, with lean manufacturing, with process improvement. So great customer of ours. And Mike Tobin, who is actually a fellow Army vet of mine, is going to be there on the show. He's the president now of the Westbury facility.
Oh, good. So, you know, offline, we should talk about, we have several reporters coming and we normally hand them a list of CEOs. So let's make sure with somebody like that, we get him to be interviewed, because that's another way, again, to promote and really from a PR standpoint. Some of the others, Thorough Metal, we talked about East West Industries, great company. Allendale Machine, Axis Automation, Richland Automation, CPI Aero, Lily's Foods, I think you talked about. There will be a variety of people on the show floor and many, many more. actually. And, you know, the beauty of that show is that absolutely we will highlight this year manufacturers, but there are a lot of other organizations that are involved. And some of them are technology driven, some of them are energy driven, some of them are Suffolk IDA is a large partner of ours in terms of innovation. So it's a great show. I encourage everyone to be involved. It's May 26th. See how quick that half hour went, gents?
Yes, yes,
Unbelievable.
you're right. Now I see it.
Before we go off the air, just any last thoughts you'd like to leave everybody with?
Yeah, I'm just super excited about getting the manufacturing committee community together, I should say. You know, if in my travels, I can't remember the last time we've had a manufacturing show or fair or gathering anywhere on Long Island. So excited to get people back together again to share best practices, you know, on the technology side, to see the latest in automation, and to share what's going on with the collaboration between the schools. And, you know, the big problem again is labor, right? So as a manufacturer, as a business, what are you doing to develop that pipeline? Take a look at what other people are doing and jump on that train.
Right, absolutely. And
Definitely.
you did not hear this from me, although I'm saying it publicly now. I think that in years to come, we could have a separate manufacturing trade show just for manufacturers. I really, really do.
Great, that's exciting. Yes.
Yeah, it would just be just to show the marvelous things that are manufactured.
Absolutely, absolutely. And in that sense,
For you.
yes, definitely. Yes, thank you. Well, thank you so much, first of all, inviting us. I appreciate it. It's such an honor, such a privilege. Thank you. So I'm also very excited for the May 26th for the HIA-LI trade show. Looking forward to seeing colleagues, friends, customers, and our fellow HIA-LI community members. I'm definitely looking forward to it. There are many things that we can learn at the trade show. We can share, we can shake hands and make the connections, just like you mentioned. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. As I always say, what is good for Long Island, good for the nation. What is good for the nation, good for the world. So thank you. Thank you very much.
And thank the both of you. Listen, you know, an organization like the HIA-LI just absolutely does not happen and push things forward without volunteer leaders like you. So we appreciate everything that you do, everything that you do. Again, everyone who's watching, please join us on May 26th. And we do a lot of other things, get involved in the manufacturing in the International Trade Committee as well. And we hope everybody has a wonderful weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you very
Stay well,
much.
everybody.
Thank you.